Hey everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to talk about my first half of July wrap-up. But something that has never happened to me before happened when filming this video. And I feel like this is the Bad News Bears video because I filmed this entire thing and then I put it in my project and saw that there was no audio. Unfortunately, that has happened to me before. So I'm like, oh no. Then I discover, no, it's only a minute or two of audio that's missing. And somehow my video started recording, but my audio didn't catch up until like a minute later. So my audio was so messed up. So good news is everything that I lost was just me rambling about the fact that I'm downstairs doing a wrap up instead of upstairs in my room as I normally am because we are having crazy summer storms. And I have only natural lighting up there and there's no natural lighting right now. It is kind of dark even though it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. So this is probably saving you guys maybe some sort of divine intervention of like, hey, nobody wants to hear this story about the weather. So although one of you sweet people commented that you don't mind hearing about the weather. So we had a terrible storm recently and things just haven't been the same since. So now let's get into the books. There will be a random cut as I'm trying to figure out how to piece these two together because my mind is boggled. I have no idea what happened, and let's just get into the wrap up. I have like made my stat sheet 3 times because apparently I was junk at keeping track of my reading. I don't know. We've just been chaotic. The girls are playing a ton of sports. Summer stuff is nonstop, and we are just trying to squeeze in all the play dates, all the things, and all the splash pads and all the things before seems like August 1st stuff starts like closing down for school. So we are trying to squeeze it all in. So I'm going to blame that. I don't know. But as always, I will go through my stats and then I will go through the books in the order that I read them, but I will chunk them up by middle grade. I read one young adult and then adult. And so I will put timestamps down below of those different age ranges in case you're only interested in hearing about 1 or 2 or whatever. So let's get into it. So the first thing, I read 18 books in the first half of the month and DNF'd 1. And I've been doing a lot of different projects, some of which you've seen and some you have not. So I did my July TBR revisit. I did that all in the beginning of the month just because I filmed it and I wasn't sure exactly how many I was going to have to read. So I did that, and then I'm working on the Krista from Books and Jams. She does a catch-up-a-thon, and this year is Build Your Own Sunday, so I'm working on that. And as you guys would have seen in my July TBR, I am doing Roll Your Next Read by Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library. So I will link all those people, all those videos, all that kind of stuff down below in case you missed anything. But so I'm working on vlogs for all of that. So some of this is going to be a little brief, but I've also I've found with myself, I am a little bit more motivated to read when I've got like guided things like that. And when I make those TBRs, I generally go on my library. I try to make them all based on my physical books. And then I go on my library and I request them all right away. And so then there's like the time pressure because some of I have 2 different libraries and one is 14 days and one's 21 days. So like figuring it all out, I love the puzzle pieces and trying to figure out how to mood read, but also like I got to get stuff done before these run out. So that's really motivating to me. And I think that's why I read more. My daughters and I also read a series that has shorter books. So you'll see that. So I read 3,901 pages, which is 260 pages per day. But it's 217 pages per book. So we read a lot of middle grade and that's 1.2 books per day. So I read 9 novels, 8 chapter books, and 1 graphic novel. So this month is skewed towards my own reading, which is great. All those reasons I just explained. I read 9 adult, 1 young adult, and 8 middle grade. 9 were on my shelf, and 9 were from somewhere else, which is great. I feel good about that. 9, and so that's like if I had a copy on my shelf, but where I actually read them from, 9 were from the library, 6 were from Libby, 2 were just off my shelf, and 1 was from Hoopla. I read 11 physically, 5 on audio, and 2 ebooks. And I am just not in my ebook era. I feel like ebooks take me forever right now. And I don't know why, because I love the convenience of ebooks because you can take them anywhere. You can have Alexa read it to you if you want to. Like you can do all the things with ebooks, but I'm just not loving it. I don't know why. I read one new release in 17 backlist, which makes sense. As far as genre goes, 6 were contemporary, 3 were sci-fi fantasy, which is, you'll see they're middle grade books. 2 is mystery thriller, 2 romance, 2 Christian fiction, 1 historical, 1 nonfiction, 1 women's fiction. So all over the darn board. So as far as star ratings go, I DNF'd 1. I had 1 2-star, 1 2.5 star, 3 3 stars, 6 3.5 stars, and 7 4 stars, which to me sounds really good. But then my average, again, is 3.47. So I'm always right around that 3.5 mark, which is all books that I'm like, these are good. I would recommend them, but they're nothing exceptional. So that's kind of like how my reading year has been, I feel like, in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and get into the book. So I'm going to start with the middle grade. So the series that I alluded to earlier that my daughters and I are reading that are really short, these probably take maybe 20 or 30 minutes to read, and they're Princess Posey. We love Princess Posey. So Princess Posey, she is a little girl who has quite a few different like fears and things, but when she wears her ballerina skirt, she feels like she is Princess Posey and she can do anything. And so she kind of uses that as a way to be brave. So we've got the tiny treasure. She's in first grade too. So the new first grader, and this is kind of about making friends with new people and cliques and that kind of stuff and how to navigate shifting friendship dynamics. The Christmas magic and the first grade boys. And so all of these are really good, really relatable, and we're really enjoying the series. And like I said, they're quick, they're easy, they're fun, and they generally are somewhat relatable. So we're really liking this series. Next is a series that we started called Daisy Dreamer. So we've got Daisy Dreamer and the Totally True Imaginary Friend, as well as Daisy Dreamer and the World of Make-Believe. So all of these books have pictures on just about every page. These two, Princess Posey and Daisy Dreamer, do have pictures on every page. So we're almost getting to the point that my daughter could read these on her own. It's definitely meant to be, I think, read either by older kids independently or with a parent, because it's not easy language, like it's not simple words, I guess. But this one is I really like Daisy Dreamer, the first one, because this is about a girl who loves to journal, and I got total like Harriet the Spy vibes. And so she loves to journal, and she draws this imaginary creature, ironically named Posey. And Posey is this magical creature. Let's see, I think, yeah, Posey's on this one. She draws it, and the page goes missing, and it's because Posey has come to life. So this one was super great. We really loved like the premise of it because it had a great mix of contemporary, like in real life, things you could relate to, and kind of the fantastical world. This one definitely shifted more into the fantastical world because she goes to Posey's world. And it was good. Some of it was underexplained, and it made the world, like, it started really magical, but it became almost just chaotic and nonsensical. So, you know, I feel like I need my daughters and I both, I feel like need a little bit of like reality, or at least being able to understand the world a little bit better. So we have not read any more in this series yet, but I think we will, but I don't know if it'll be a favorite. Next is a series that we are really liking, and it is Isadora Moon. And this one, they go on a field trip. Isadora Moon is half vampire, half fairy, and they go on a field trip to a castle, and there's a ghost there, and her dad is a chaperone, and Isadora and her dad are not scared, but everybody else is scared, and so they figure out a way to make the kids realize the ghost is okay. This one has more words. Not every page has a picture. And this is definitely one that it would be for older kids if you were reading it independently, but this is great. Still really easy to understand and really engaging for my kids. And then last is a series that we started, and it is Rosie Revere and the Raucous Riveters. So the Questioneers is the name of the series, and there are picture books. There's Rosie Revere, engineer, Ada Twist, scientist, Iggy Peck Architect. They continually come out with them. They're so good. They are so good. They're written in rhyme, and they're all about females in STEM, although Iggy Peck is, we have not read Iggy Peck, but he's a boy. And so it's just great STEM representation, great conversation around what is engineering at a very basic level, but not like so simple. Like we love the picture books. There's also, I believe, an Ada Twist show on Netflix. I had no idea until we got like 5-minute stories and that kind of stuff. And we're loving all of those things. The 5-minute stories, the picture books, like all of it is great. Now, so I was like, sure, we're going to love these chapter books. Hard pass. This is like 2.5 stars. I did not like it. So Rosie Revere is one of our favorite characters because my husband's an engineer. And so my daughter is really intrigued by the world of engineering. And so in this one, she comes across this group of riveters, and it does not tell you what a riveter is. It doesn't tell you really how she came across the group of riveters. And one of them has like a hand issue, and she's a painter, but she broke her wrists or something. Again, it's all very unclear. And she wants to be in this painting contest, but she can't paint. And so Rosie comes up with a system that allows her to paint without using her hands. And there's some trials along the way. All of that. It's great at reinforcing the idea that when you try something new, you have to try lots and lots of times, and it's okay to fail. Failures are opportunities to learn. So I like that. But this, like, there were just so many details that were unclear of like, and they were pivotal to the story. Like, there's characters that we were not introduced to at all. And I don't like, there's a bird that we've read a lot of the books, and I have never heard of this bird. So I'm sure it came in somewhere, but it just was not good. So I don't know. We've got one more of the chapter books. I'm not really intrigued to read it, but we'll probably give it a shot just before we like blindly DNF the series, because we love the other books so much. So whatever. So that is all of the middle grade that I read. Now let's go on to the YA. So the one and only YA I read is American Royals, and this is by Catherine McGee. And I'm not going to say a lot about it because it is in my Roll Your Next Read vlog that will be coming soon, so kind of teaser. But I am just going to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this, way more than I thought I would have, and I gave it 4 stars. And the basic premise is that this is what would have happened if, after the Revolutionary War, America decided to become a monarchy instead of a democracy. And so George Washington's family is reigning, and it follows the daughters, the kids of the current king. So the current king has a daughter and then a twin son and daughter, and it follows them and all those dynamics. So I'm not going to say any more. I will definitely talk more about it in my Roll Your Next Read vlog, so make sure you check that out when it comes, which I think might be the end of this week. So stay tuned. So now let's get into the adult books. So first, I just read, somebody was talking about this, and so I read What Happened to You? Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing. This is by Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey, and I would highly recommend it on audio if you can, or like doing it together, because there are visuals throughout the book. Not a ton, though. So this was really a unique way of talking about these things: trauma, resilience, healing, things that happen kind of in your childhood and how they impact you later. And the reason it was so interesting to me is because Bruce Perry is a scientist, and he wrote the book The Boy Who Has Raised a Dog, I think, and he's a scientist. And so he kind of represents the data, the facts, all that kind of stuff. And Oprah comes in and makes it really conversational, relatable, and talks about individual stories and individual people. So it was a great balance, at least for my taste, that it gave me like enough information about it, as well as like the relatability factor or the kind of empathy factor, that it was just really interesting. Now, did I love it? No, I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was good and very unique, but not the best book I've ever read, I guess. It gives a lot, it's kind of individualized. So I don't know that this is the most like blanketed, but it was still interesting to read. Next is Finding Noel by Richard Paul Evans. So this one I read for my July book haul revisit. So I will link that video down below. Goodness gracious, I'm going to have a notepad of things to link down below. But this one I really enjoyed. I can almost always count on Richard Paul Evans for like emotional, almost Nicholas Sparks-esque, but inspirational Christmassy time books. And that's what this was. So this is about a man and a woman. Noel, what's her name? It's Mark and what's her name? Gosh, Macy. Mark and Macy. They meet in a diner. Macy works there. She has been in the foster system, like she was in the foster system as a child and was adopted by a really terrible family. And now she lives with this wonderful older lady. And she's just kind of down on her luck. She doesn't have a car. She, you know, all these things. Like she loves this diner that she works for. She virtually owns the place. And she's awesome at what she does. But, whatever. Is having kind of a hard time. Mark just lost his mother and is struggling and also kind of in a similar boat of just having a harder time. They two meet, become friends. Of course, it turns into a romance, but the basis of this story, I would say, is Macy trying to find her sister. So when she was 7 and her sister was 4, they were separated and adopted into different homes. And so now she's trying to find her sister. And I don't often cry in books, but I did in this book because I could see my girls. My older two are just about 2 years apart, and they are best friends and worst enemies, as most siblings are. And my older, like, they are very stereotypical in their first and second child roles. My older child very much is a guardian, a leader, a protector, all of that. And my second child struggles with speech issues, and so sometimes she needs like kind of an interpreter and somebody to stand up for her. And so the way Macy stood up for her sister and just the pain when they were separated is something that, like, it brought me to tears. It brought me to tears. This book will definitely tug at your heartstrings, and it was so good. So good. Next is The Chateau by Jacqueline Goldis. So this will also be coming in my Roll Your Next Read vlog. So I'm not going to say anything except that I did not like this. Gave it 2 stars. Wish I would have DNF'd. Next is more books from my July book haul revisit. So Sweetwater Gap by Denise Hunter. I gave this one a 4 stars. I really like this, and it's about a woman who goes to pitch in with her family apple orchard, and the guy that's kind of like he's helping out quite a bit, and he's kind of taking over in a good way. The two kind of have like an enemies to lovers relationship, but this also brings a lot more family dynamics and all of that into the story, and I really liked it. And I think this is a standalone, and I really wish it wasn't because of all the family dynamics and stuff. I want the sister story. I want more from this, but I really enjoyed it. The next one is Briar Cottage, which is number 0 in the Blue Ridge series, and this one was more of a basic, like straight to the point romance. It is about a couple who got divorced, or so they thought. Now he has done his taxes, and the IRS has said, like, hey, your divorce didn't go through. So she goes to his like cottage and to try to like figure out what happened and how to make it right so they can actually be divorced. And of course, kind of sparks rekindle, and they're snowed in together. So things happen. We get then and now timelines, which is great, but I just didn't feel things for this, and I'm wondering if I would have read the Blue Ridge series first and then kind of read this prequel, if I would have already known the characters. I don't know, and maybe been more attached, because I kind of failed to get attached to these people, so it was just okay for me. 3 stars. Next is my DNF, which is Sorry Not Sorry by Sophie Renaud. This one is also one that was in my July book haul revisit. I DNF. This was the first book, like physical book, that I ever got from a publisher, and so I am shocked that I hadn't read it, and it's been like this touted thing on my shelf, and now I don't like it, and I'm going to get rid of it. It is a women's fiction about this woman who lives with her 2 best friends, and her 2 best friends are going to get married. And so she's kind of feeling left out in the dust, and she joins this like podcast that's all about dating, or she starts listening to, I don't know what it is, but starts listening to this podcast that's all about dating and how to make it work. And so she's going through all the steps and all the rules and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt nothing for this character. And I read it like physically on audio. I read it for all these different ways, and I didn't like it. So DNF that about 45% in. So I read a good chunk and I was just still not attached, didn't want to pick it up. And this is like kind of my bread and butter genre. So if I'm not attached at all and don't care, I don't think it's going to get better for me. Next is If I Run by Terry Blackstock. So this is one that I'm reading, or I read for Catch-Up-a-thon is I guess what it's called. I don't know. But I'm not going to say anything about this because I go more into detail in my vlog. But this one is a like 3, maybe 3.5 star for me. It was not what I expected. It was not as good as I was expecting. It's a, let's see, I don't know. It's less than 300 pages and it is a trilogy. And I feel like this was not enough to be a complete book. There's also a storyline in here that I feel like was just really convenient and almost made the like text feel juvenile and feel like too simple. So stay tuned to that vlog. I will talk more about this, but 3 to 3.5 stars. Next is also for Catch-Up-a-thon, Having the Soldier's Baby by Tara Taylor Quinn. This is the shortest on my shelf, as you might guess. This is a Harlequin special edition that the author sent me years ago, and this is about a woman who her husband, it was a Marine and went off to war and was supposedly killed, and they, I guess, had like done sperm banking before he left, so she decides to get inseminated and have his baby, and then he comes back, but he is back and he's very, very different. So this was 3 stars. It was what I would expect, but a quick and easy read. And then last is Happily Ever After and Everything in Between. This is the graphic novel that I read, and this is by Debbie Tung, who is the author of A Quiet Girl in a Noisy World. I have not read that, but this one is about figuring marriage out, and it's, I mean, written by a newlywed. Like, I think she wrote this when they were newlyweds, and kind of figuring out the dynamics, as well as just like that shift from kind of fun, romance, easygoing thing that like dating is to like the comforting, quiet nature that marriage is. You know, marriage is not always going on dates and doing all the fun things that you maybe do when you were dating, but it's being on the couch in sweatpants and is seeing each other's worst and best, and being each other's, you know, kind of easy communication and all of the things that are great about marriage. I feel like this definitely brought those out. I love the art style, and I will definitely read more from her because this was really cute, and I give it 3.5 or 4 stars. I mean, it's nothing exceptional, and I don't feel like it talks very much about like the super hard stuff. There's a couple pages where she's like annoyed with him, but it's also about like the newlywed years, so sometimes there isn't that super hard stuff yet. So this was good. I would definitely recommend. So I think those are all the books that I read. You guys, like I said, I've redone this like 3 times because my spreadsheet was wrong. So I think those are all the books that I have read. Let me know if you've read any of these books or what you thought of them. Stay tuned for all the vlogs, or check in with all the vlogs that I have talked about, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.